Well, welcome, discipleship friends, to a special, always ready 5-minute moment. I'm David Holcomb here at River Oaks Community Church with Pastor Andrew Wild. Welcome, Andrew.
Thanks, David.
It's not really something we've been doing this season, but we want to add this to the supplementary commentary that's out there and your sermon because we had a little special really question or an observation of the passage this week we felt like needed some explanation.
So we're in Acts 19, and it's where Paul finds himself in Ephesus. And Ephesus was known as a center for the learning, the practice of the dark arts. And we know that the people in Ephesus, they put a lot of stock in their incantations, their spells. These would be all written down, put into books that were worth a great deal of money. And we read this, and in verse 18 it says, "Also, many of those who were now believers came, confessing and divulging their practices. And a number of those who had practiced magic arts brought their books together and burned them in the sight of all. And they counted the value of them and found it came to 50,000 pieces of silver." And so, David, just thinking about that, the imagery of book burning isn't one that might excite a lot of people.
Let's gather them up, burn them.
Well, so how would you respond to someone who says, this right here, this is my problem with Christianity. It smacks of intolerance. We think about the 20th century. Kind of everybody knows those who burn books, those are the bad guys. How do you respond?
Well, I think there's several things at play here, but it's really the context, and it's actually what we're told. The first and foremost, when we read 18 and 19, we see that also many of those were believers confessing, divulging their practices. And then it says that those who had practiced the arts brought their books together and burned them. So while this was a group effort, really the act itself was an individual one. It was the opportunity for them to take these things that either promoted or helped identify them with something that was counter to godliness, that was idolatry, that was against their witness as now new believers. It was, in a way, they were purging from their possessions, from their homes, from their life, this that had been so sinful and evil. And it wasn't really about the burning, I don't think. I think it was really about the forsaking.
The repudiation.
The repudiation, yeah. And, the other thing I'll say, and I don't have a question for you on this, Andrew, but is that if we see Jesus teach a lot in the parables, there's always these contradictions, these great, polar opposites in his teaching. And so as we look at Acts 19, we see those who practiced sorcery came to know Christ and said, despite the value of these, they're not worth it. We turn them over. So they forsaked even the profit of selling them. Whereas then we get to Demetrius, the silversmith, who said, well, I don't care the morality of it. I want the profit. I want the wealth. And so
that's an interesting juxtaposition.
It is, yeah. And I think that's sort of the teaching of money, a root of some kinds of evil.
You go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you, though, because of the money involved, the wealth, someone might ask, well, why didn't they just sell them and make $50,000, 50,000 pieces of silver, whatever it was?
Yeah.
Use that for missions. And, that's more the question
Why not
I
give
have.
to missions? So I think I would respond to someone that asked me that. I would say, let's just have I think this would be a fair moral parallel. Let's suppose you knew someone that was not a believer, had an extensive pornography collection, valued at thousands and thousands of dollars.
Right.
They came to know the Lord. And all of a sudden they realize, well, this is something that Satan can use to continue to have a foothold, a toehold on my life. Can I take all this pornographic stuff that's worth thousands of dollars and can I go sell this? And would God delight in me selling it and then turning the profit over to the church for missions? No, because that's something that it's like poison, right? It's of no good. God doesn't delight in it. He doesn't need the money.
Yeah.
He would rather say, don't pass that pornography along. That's just going to trip someone up. Like you said, it's not in the burning. It doesn't matter. Just destroy it somehow. Get rid of it.
That's right. Well, and at the end of the day, the application is that there are likely things in our lives that if we look through the boxes in the attic and we look through, the possessions in our house or the practices or the words or the thoughts, that we would also see as purging from our life. And that's really the example we see here. It just happened to be that was the way they got rid of it.
Yep. And so if somebody
Yeah.
came to me and they said, hey, I've got all these tarot cards.
Yeah.
I just came to know the Lord. I could sell these on Facebook Marketplace and I could make $1,000 and come give it to the church.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
Destroy it.
Let's destroy it. Well, good. Well, hey, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope that helps with the questions that might have come out of Acts 19. And until next time, let's continue to be always ready to give a defense to anyone who asks us the reason for our hope. Let us do it with gentleness and respect. Why? Because he, Jesus Christ, lives. Blessings, friends.